Who do you think had a worse weekend? Jim Harbaugh or Nick Saban? And don't answer right away because it's not an easy question. And the reason it's not an easy question is they both had horrible weekends. Why don't we start with old Nicholas? He took his Alabama team into Auburn without a chance to win the SEC, but with a chance to make a final claim for a spot in the playoff. Then they lose 48-45 to their rival in a truly excruciating way. How bad was it? Let's count the ways. There was the clock at the end of the first half that allowed Auburn a chance to kick a field goal. As you might imagine, Saban handled that like an absolute champ. No, he didn't. He damn near lost his mind. Then there was the 100-yard pick six. Then there was the chance for the game-tying field goal with 2 minutes left.
Bullitus for the tie. Kick is on the way, and it hit the upright. It's no good. He hit the left upright. Crisis.
Doink! And then there was the fourth down play where Gus Malzahn's crew completely fooled Nick Saban's.
It's 4th down and 4. They're in a regular formation here with Nick's. Just going to try to draw him off sides, I guess. And they're saying that
I think they had 12 men on the field. That's why they didn't jump off sides, but they lined up. And Alabama had 12 men out there.
Legal substitution. Defense, 12 players in the formation.
I don't know if I've ever seen a game ended with too many men on the field.
Man, can't you count? And as you'd expect, Saban handled that like an absolute legend. Actually, he did not handle that well either. He complained that it was, quote, unfair. Wow, did the alleged greatest coach ever just throw that card? It's unfair. It's not fair. That's not fair. My guy, you lost a game where you gave up 48 points. You committed 13 penalties. Yes, your kicker missed a critical field goal, and your backup QB had a pair of painful picks. But your backup QB also had a total of 367 yards and 4 touchdowns. You see, back in the day, that would have been more than enough for a Nick Saban defense to win. But this was not a Nick Saban defense. It hasn't been a Nick Saban defense. And that was not an Alabama team that deserved to be in the playoff. And Saban's left, losing his mind on the field, on the sideline, and then complaining in a press conference. And for the first time ever, you've got the ensuing questions such as, is Saban past his prime? Is the Alabama dynasty, in fact, dead? And I'm sure Saban will handle both those questions as well as he handled the others this past weekend. In other words, really badly. This guy's a sore winner and a sore loser. You know, there's another guy like that? A guy who's a sore winner and a sore loser? Bill Belichick. No one of those two do so well. And then there's Michigan. This was supposed to be the year. Year 5. Jim Harbaugh's guys, his culture, his process. No more excuses. I mean, sure, they had been humiliated 62-39 by Ohio State last year, but this was the year. Jim Harbaugh had waited out Urban Meyer, and now he was going to get to face the kid, the new guy, Ryan Day, and he was going to do it in Ann Arbor. It was set up for him and his team. I mean, if Jim Harbaugh couldn't end the streak this year, when would he? The answer is probably never. Because with all that going for them, the veteran against the first-year head coach, playing at home, the chance to break that streak, Michigan came out fired up. They knew what was at stake, and they were going to do anything and everything they could to get an edge, to get inside Ohio State's head, if need be, which is why a couple of dopes went Bush League and untied the shoe of Ohio State running back J.K. Dobbins after a play. Hey, look, I know Harbaugh likes to coach enthusiasm, but he sure as hell does not preach discipline, does he? Not if you're eating 15-yard flags for unsportsmanlike conduct in arguably the most critical game of your tenure. I mean, holy crap. What happened to the Michigan men? You know, this notion of the Michigan men being classy. I mean, if you can't win, at least be classy. And if you can't do either, then what are you exactly? You're a team that just got curb stomped by your rival again. This time, 56-27 at home. Now, the good news is you didn't allow 62. The bad news is you gave up. And you gave up a big chunk, and you lost by 29 at home. So Harbaugh is now 0-5 against Ohio State. 0-5 in the only game that counts. 0-5 in a game that every Michigan coach ever gets measured by. 0-5 against the team that you were hired to beat. The team they pay you hellified jack to beat. And as you might imagine, unlike Saban, Harbaugh at least handled that embarrassing beatdown pretty well. Oh, no, he didn't. What an amazing line. Just got smashed again. Yeah, I'm sure the facts do feel like insults. But see, that's the thing. That's not an insult. You just lost your last two games to Ohio State by a combined score of 118-66. You gave up 118 points in the last two games to the most important opponent on your schedule. Saying Ohio State played better on that day is not good enough. You don't just play better and score 118 points in two games. It's way more than that. That's not just a bad day. That's not just a one-off. Yeah, I bet you do feel insulted. You should. The scoreboard is insulting. In fact, it's offensive. If it's not insulting and offensive to you, it is definitely insulting and offensive to Michigan fans because they got their faces caved in again. Their teeth kicked in again. And there's no sign of this stopping. There is a huge gap between these two programs on every single level. Talent, preparation, coaching, execution, class, you name it. You're there to win that game. That's the most important aspect of your job, and you have it. So all that other stuff doesn't matter because this is the game that Michigan has been pointing to ever since Herb announced that he was leaving. They have been building towards this, and they got the same exact result. Ohio State quarterback Justin Fields has got a pretty good idea of exactly what happened. It just means more to us. We just prepare better than they do. He's right. Is there anything about what he said that's not true? And notice that I didn't use the word rival because that's not a rivalry. A rivalry is a battle between equals. What this is an annual game between two teams in the same conference. They're not equals. Michigan has lost 8 straight. In the last few years, Purdue and Iowa have more wins over Ohio State than Michigan does. Let that sink in for a minute.